Hi everybody, welcome to Dulcimerica. My name is Futch. Thank you very much for joining me. This is the second episode of the year, and going by our new format, I'll be doing 4 episodes a month, one featuring beginner level instruction, one doing intermediate, one doing advanced, and then one that's sort of an all skill level. So this is the intermediate for this month, and I figured we extend what we've already begun with RLE, a great traditional tune made popular by Elvis Presley when he added lyrics and turned it into Love Me Tender. So we did a very, very basic version that's called a drone melody style, where we just played the melody against the bass and the middle string for our beginner players out there. Kept it very simple. So if you haven't watched the episode yet, even though you may not be a beginner, go back and take a look at that one to see what we did as far as playing through it, and then also just doing some change-ups for rhythm, counterpoint, strumming techniques, picking techniques, and things like that. If you've already downloaded the episode tablature and compare it with the one for the intermediate, you'll be able to see that it's basically the same, but we have added some colors, and we've also added some chord symbols, and we'll talk about how all that came about. But before we do that, I want to say hello to one of my patrons on Patreon, David Kemp. David, here's a shout out to you. Thank you very much for being a patron, and thank you for being a part of my art every single day, like all of my patrons who are there from the $5 level to the $100 level, and all of these folks combine together help me to do what I do. That means producing Dulcimerica, creating new content, doing workshops, Mailbag Monday, and just focusing on being a creative person as opposed to being a crazy person running around looking for the next gig. I love Patreon, and I know that all of the other mountain dulcimer players and instructors on Patreon love it too. People like Steve Uhlberg, Aaron O'Rourke, Wendy Songe, Aaron May, there's a lot of them. So I'm saying to you, if Bing Futch isn't your particular flavor, there are a lot of other flavors of mountain dulcimer out there, and I encourage you to go check them out. Support one, support a few, support all, but I know all of us very greatly appreciate your help, your encouragement, and your support during these really crazy, crazy times that we live in. So thanks to all my patrons, and if you are interested in becoming a patron, go to patreon.com/BingFutch. Check out the open house section. I've got over 550 posts there. You can download music, download tablature, watch video, get pictures, and if you like what you think you see, come on and be a patron, just like David Kemp. David, again, thank you very much. And to all my patrons, you are the very, very best. All right, so we're going to kick off this intermediate level by taking a look at the tablature, walking through, and let's see what we're going to add to this piece of music. So when we're playing drone melody, we're basically just playing the melody, and we've got an unchanging drone behind it, so we're not changing chords. That works really, really good. No problem at all, you know? It's very beautiful, and the mountain dulcimer is one of the few instruments in the world where you can get away with that, and it sounds really great. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add some chord movement. We're going to add some harmony to our melody. So sometimes it'll be partial harmony, and sometimes it'll be a complete chord. So let's go ahead and see how we're going to do that, starting off with the very, very beginning. So we're going to go with our opening, same partial kind of an opening. Okay, we are in DAD tuning. This tune is in the key of D major. So we start off with a D major chord, play our notes, and then we're going to go to a bar 1. And that's going to give us what I'm technically going to refer to as an E5 chord. What is an E5 chord anyway? Well, a 5 at the end of a chord symbol denotes that it is a root 5 chord. It only contains the root of the chord, the lowest pitch note, and the fifth of the chord, which is the highest pitch note. The middle part of the chord, the major third or the minor third, doesn't exist in a fifth chord, which means you can use these chords as either minor chords or major chords. At this point in the tune, depending on what version you've heard of it, either the Elvis version or many, many other versions that are out there, you might want to go with an E minor, or you might want to go with an E major. What I've decided to do here is just not to put too fine a point on it, but at least put the root note, E, in there in order to give us a lift. one step up from our D major. So we're going to go. And that gives us just a little bit of lift and a little bit of harmony. Now, if you were to hum that in your head and listen to either the E minor or the E major, you might fall in love with either one of those. Dum, 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 bum, 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 bum. The E minor is very dramatic and a little sad. Or we could do a E major. Bum, 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 bum. That's definitely up and cheerful. Either one of those will work, so of course we leave it up to you. If you bar though at the first fret, you'll have neither E minor or E major. You will have an E5 chord, which is basically somewhere in the middle. All right, so we'll keep moving here. Now we're going to move to A major. We'll play that 4-2-0 chord like this. The melody's on the melody string, and then the melody moves to the middle string, as we know, so we're going to not use the melody string and just hit the bass and the middle. So we go strum, and then using my pinky to grab 1, holding on to the A on the 4 there on the bass string, back up to 2 on the middle string, using my ring finger, and then we can release. Here are the repeatable sections. Again, measures 1 through 4. D major, E5, pick the middle string, A all the way across, and then partial, just bass and middle. And then we go back to D major. Now moving on to the second part of the tune. We were just doing this. You know, aurally, aurally. No change. It sounds fine. Of course it does. But we're going to add a little bit of harmonic motion to that. So we'll start off with D. Now I'm going to use my ring finger for this. Why? Because we're going to end up barring at the 2nd fret to get our F sharp 5. Notice I wrote it as F sharp because truly an F sharp major is what we want here, not an F sharp minor. That would be way too sad for this part of the tune. But we cannot play F sharp major in the key of D on the mountain dulcimer without extra frets. So an F sharp 5, a bar 2, is going to work just fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my ring finger and get, and then complete that bar. Then we're going to do a B minor 2-1-0, but the thumb is also going to be a 2 on the melody string. And then for those with the 1.5 fret, we're going to a D7 chord, which is open on the bass, using the 1.5 on the middle string, 2 on the melody string. If you don't have the 1.5 fret, it's very, very okay to simply play 0-0-2 for D major. So without the 1.5 fret, it would sound like this. Right? And that sounds good. If you have the 1.5 fret, we're going to include the 1.5 on the middle string to pull in that C, which is the flat 7th in the key of D major, and we're going to do this. So I got the ring finger here. That sounds so nice, doesn't it? I love dominant 7th chords, they're so much fun. Now, the one other reason that I really like playing the dominant 7th here is that it already gets your thumb in position to play our next chord, which is a G major 7 chord. That's 3-1-2. And yes, that is a bit of finger twister, but it's not too terrible because it's the thumb doing most of the hard work. What we're doing is we're playing a 3-1-0 G major chord. The thumb is riding the melody, F sharp at the melody string, at the 2nd fret. That all combined together is giving us G major 7. And it's lovely, it's a beautiful chord. So we're coming from this 7 and then into the G major 7. Really, really sweet stuff. Now we're going to go through a few changes here. We have G major 7. Then we're going to change that by bringing in the melody to the 1st fret on the melody string. And technically that's going to give us a G6 chord. That's a major 6 chord. Then we're going to let go of the melody, take it down to open, giving us our standard 3-1-0 G major. And then we're going to I put my pinky down to grab the 1 there again for a 3-1-1 chord, and then we can let it go, coming back to D major. So that whole section is going to sound like this. So just 3 different types of G chords are going to give us some movement in the background while not changing things too much, because generally speaking, it is G that we're looking for. In fact, you could play that with a G major, a simple G major, and not worry about the extra stuff. But I figured that, let's do it. It's pretty. All right, we get back to our D. Okay, now we're going to do a D twice. And then we're going to go to a B major. Again, we don't want B minor here. This is one of the surprising things about the tune. We're using non-diatonic chords. So B major is not diatonic. It's not within the key of D major, but it sounds really good. So once again, we're going to use our trick of playing a bar chord, which is basically a root 5 chord. And so we're leaving it as B on the music, so if you're playing with somebody else on guitar or mandolin or something, they can play a proper B major chord. But here, we can just bar, and we're not even going to play the entire bar. We're actually going to play just the 5, and then we're going to grab a 6 on the middle string before bringing it down to the 5th fret. Okay, so coming from the D, so the melody's on the middle string, our harmonizing bass or our root is on the bass string B, playing at the 5th fret. Then we're going to slide that down to 1, pick the middle, and then all the way across our A major, and then just bass and middle. And then wide open strum. So I'm going to go ahead and play that all the way through, as we have now taken the arrangement from last week's episode and we've gussied it up with some harmony and some chords. Even some chords that really we're not supposed to be able to play, to make it sound a little bit more interesting. This is RLE, also known as Love Me Tender. Loosen up a little bit. That's always fun. We're Elvising it up a little bit there, or whoever it is that you're thinking about when you're doing this tune. And that's the idea that we mentioned last week, was once you get the melody notes memorized and the chord placement memorized, then you can break out of this rhythm I've laid down, which is a very, very, very basic and very simplistic rhythm. Also, the rhythm is more indicative of the tune RLE than it is the tune Love Me Tender, considering that both of those tunes have different lyrics. And so the idea here is to get the song in your head, the version in your head that you want to play the most. Internalize it. You know how it goes backwards and forwards, and then adapt your strumming to play the melody more like the version that you're trying to be more like. And so that last time through, I was swinging more towards the Love Me Tender side than I was the Aura Lee side. That in a nutshell is our intermediate look at getting into adding harmony and doing the chord harmony style or the chord melody style when playing the mountain dulcimer versus the drone melody style that we began with our beginner level instruction last week. Coming up next week, I'm going to break out the chromatic dulcimer for our advanced students, and we're going to take it through one more time and see what else we can add to the picture, talking about your chord building, harmonizing, and more things like that. Again, thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you to my patrons, and we will see you next week.